Why are residents vanishing from the world's richest city? That's what we're digging into today.
All right, so get this. Macau actually earns more than Las Vegas, but its own people can't even afford to live there. So what's going on? It's a huge, huge paradox, right? You've got this global economic powerhouse, but the folks who call it home are getting squeezed out. How on earth did it come to this?
Well, to really get it, you have to understand that this was basically a perfect storm. There were three key ingredients that came together to create this completely unsustainable situation.
So here they are: unchangeable geography, a really decisive policy shift, and just explosive demand. Any one of these on its own would be a big deal, but all three hitting at once? That's what locked Macau onto this path and created this incredible pressure cooker environment.
You can really boil it down to a super simple formula. Think about it. You have a tiny container, a box that just cannot get any bigger. Then you start pouring in an exponential, never-ending influx of people and money. What happens? Eventually, you get an inevitable overflow. It just has to happen. And in Macau, the thing that overflowed was the local population. And you know, this didn't just happen overnight. You can trace its roots way back. It started as a Portuguese trading post, slowly shifted to gambling, but the real trigger, the big bang, happened in 2002. That's when the government ended the casino monopoly. And then, boom, the floodgates just swung open for massive investment and a tidal wave of tourists. Okay, so that's the setup. Now let's look at what this perfect storm actually looks like in real life, by the numbers. And believe me, this is where the scale of the situation just gets wild. First off, let's talk space, or lack of it. Macau is tiny. We're talking about 33.8 square kilometers. Just to give you a picture, that's about half the size of a single ward in Tokyo, like Setagaya. It is an absurdly small piece of land to try and build a global destination on. Now, into that tiny, tiny space, you cram more than 20,000 people into every single square kilometer. Just try to imagine that for a second. It's one of the most densely populated places on Earth. People are literally living on top of each other. But here's the number that explains everything. For every one person who actually lives in Macau, there are roughly 50 tourists who visit each year. Think about that, 50 to 1. Imagine your own town or neighborhood. Now imagine 50 visitors showing up for every single one of your neighbors. The strain on everything, shops, transport, housing, it's just unimaginable. And this table here really lays out the whole economic paradox. On paper, Macau looks crazy rich, with a massive GDP per person. But look closer. Unlike a normal city that has lots of different industries, Macau's economy is a one-trick pony. It's all tourism. That makes it super fragile. And all that money pouring in just drives the cost of living through the roof for the actual residents. So what's the bottom line here? The city is basically transforming from a place where people live into a place people just work and visit. Its own success is cannibalizing its community. The sky-high prices are forcing the locals out, and Macau is slowly losing its soul, turning from a home into just a destination. Which brings us to a huge, glaring question, right? If things are so bad for the locals, why doesn't the government just, turn down the tap? Why not just limit the number of tourists? Well, here's the answer, and it reveals the trap they're in. The official line is that the policy is to manage tourism, not suppress it. What does that really mean? It means their economy is so addicted to that fire hose of tourist cash that they literally cannot afford to turn it off. They're stuck. All they can do is try to contain the chaos, not actually solve the problem. They're caught in their own success. And being stuck in that trap leaves them staring at these massive unresolved challenges. I mean, how do you even begin to build an economy that isn't just casinos? How do you redesign a city to be for residents again? What even is an appropriate level of tourism? And what kind of future is there for young people? These aren't small questions, these are existential crises, and right now there are no easy answers. So let's step back. What's the big takeaway from all this? It's easy to look at Macau and just say over-tourism, but the story is actually a lot deeper. We kind of need to reframe the whole thing to really get it. See, what's happening in Macau isn't really a story of failure. It's actually the result of a very deliberate choice. This wasn't some accident. A tiny, tiny city made the decision to accept a truly gigantic amount of demand. And what we're seeing now, well, it's just that choice playing out to its logical conclusion. You could almost give it a name, right? The Macau syndrome. It's what happens when a city becomes so successful as a tourist destination that it literally stops working as a home for its own people. This is the absolute endgame for a successful tourism model pushed to its extreme limit. It's the point where the guests have officially taken over the house.
And that really leaves us with a pretty sobering final thought. Macau is the blueprint for over-tourism's final stage. It's not some weird outlier, it's a crystal ball. It shows us what happens when this model is taken all the way. So the real question is, which cities are looking at this blueprint, and are any of them actually learning from it?